I'm nervous because despite the fact that I speak all the time, this is different. And I don't know all of you, and I was a little afraid when I was preparing. So I actually did a lot of background work asking people, what do high schoolers play? What video games do they play? What TV shows do they watch? Because I have no idea. I did learn, you have to tell me if this is right, that Facebook is for old people. Is this right? So the irony to that is I asked on Facebook that question, and that's how I got my answers. So I learned a lot. I learned a lot of new video games that I didn't know about. I heard about Angry Birds. I still don't know why they're angry, and I don't exactly know what's going on, but I did hear about it. One of the things that I thought I would do instead of talk about your video games and your shows was instead just to tell you about me. Because most of you probably don't know who I am, and you're probably wondering how I ended up here. Sometimes I ask myself the same question. But I call myself the average American girl. I'm from a small town west of Fort Worth. There are 1,200 people there. I'm looking at your graduating class. I think I graduated with 89. And so this is much larger than the place where I grew up. We had one stoplight. That was it. But we also had this little railroad building that people would paint for birthdays and special occasions. It had stories written about it year after year because the layers of paint had grown, that the building itself had thickened over the years, and they had to finally scrape it all down and start over again. But it was my desire to be on that building, to have my name painted on the building one morning for my birthday or something that I had achieved. And my name finally did get painted onto the building. And that's when I realized that still wasn't enough. And that's the trick, isn't it? It never feels like enough. You're never smart enough, you're never rich enough, you're never fast enough. And so I realized, and what I want to share with you, is that you'll finally realize one day that you are, and you always were, enough. And it takes a little time to get there, but I'm finally, I think, reaching that point, despite the fact that you keep drawing and you keep learning the lesson over and over. You are more than enough. So I don't know if you know who Oprah is. Anybody? I was a little afraid of this one. But when I was 12, I wanted to be Oprah Winfrey. That was what I wanted to be when I grew up. So I studied broadcast journalism because that's what Oprah Winfrey did. And I went on to be a news anchor for an ABC affiliate in Michigan. I drove a little car all the way to Michigan. It took many days, and my parents were extremely nervous. Also that I could anchor the news to become Oprah Winfrey. And while I was there, I realized I'd had this little feeling in my gut several times, and I hadn't listened to it, through college even, where I actually didn't want to do that. And so when I was in the process of being on the news, about 2 months in, I realized I don't want to be on television every single day. And I will tell you, in the gym, I would have strangers come up and tell me I wore the wrong colored lipstick last night on the news. And I thought, are they listening to the news, or are they just watching the news? So I learned quickly that it was actually politics that I had fallen in love with in the process of being a news anchor. And that's what ultimately brought me to Washington, D.C. And when I got to Washington, that's when it really hit me. My grandparents, you're not going to probably know what this is, or maybe you will, were what you call sharecroppers. So they were paid by the government to hoe land, to grow the crops. They were paid to live and to work. And here I was in Washington, D.C., from this small little town, and I was working for a member of Congress. And I thought, wow, that's amazing. And so that's when I also learned that no matter what I decided, as long as I was working as hard as I could, and I was working to be a good person, and I just continued to strive, it was essentially up to me how far I was going to let my life lead me. I had no idea that I would be here with you. I would have had no idea I'd worked for Congress. I would have had no idea, this was one of the things on my bio, that I would have started a PR firm and sold it. And I would have had no idea. I would have been on, there are multiple covers of magazines. I still laugh about it. and I'm still trying to get on time. And I would have had no idea I would have started a national organization for women that's now in 8 cities around the country. And by the way, it's helpful for men too, and we have them involved in everything that we do. But again, I realized that as long as I was striving and trying, I could do anything. I don't know if you know who Warren Buffett is. Yes. One of the most successful businessmen in our country, probably one of the wealthiest as well, if not the wealthiest. But I'm thankful that I was on a call with him and I was able to listen to him talk about his life and things that he had learned through his career. But one of the things that he said was this: tell me who your heroes are, and I'll tell you how you're going to end up. So just a few months ago, I learned about a new hero of mine. I was at an award ceremony at the Kennedy Center, and there was this woman, Dr. Hawa Abdi, from Somalia, who was receiving an award. And I'll be honest, when they started the award ceremony, I was sitting because I worked so hard, and I thought, very selfishly, I should have seen an award. I really thought of that. And then they introduced this woman, and I wanted to crawl into my seat. She became the country of Somalia's first female doctor in 1977. Her mother died after having the seventh child in their family. She was number 6. So she went on to be a doctor because she wanted to prevent that from happening for other people. One of the other things that happened was before her mother passed, she told her, you have but one purpose: help someone. And she took it to heart, and she still does. And in her culture, when travelers come to your home, you treat them as your own family, and you give them the best of everything that you have. So when her country fell into political unrest and civil unrest, and travelers started migrating around the country, they had several travelers come to their home. And eventually, she said, all of these travelers were sleeping in their home while they slept outside under the trees. And they continued to come. Guess how many? 90,000. 90,000 people moved to her community, where she then built a hospital. Her children are doctors. They built a school. She fought off militants who tried to take it over. All because she wanted to help someone. So I'll leave you with this, because she's one of my heroes. Be captivating. Be brilliant. Choose who you're around. Have fun in life. Laugh. Laugh at yourself. Do it all the time. Cry too, if you ever need to cry. Please call your parents. I get something for this. For the rest of your lives and theirs, call your parents. No matter how mad you are, always call them. As Gandhi said, be the change you want to see in the world. Listen to that little voice inside of you, with that little stir in your gut. It will guide you far. Exercise, just because it makes you feel good, if for no other reason. Know when to turn off your cell phone, which I heard was today, your iPad, your television, your video games. Learn which fork to use at a dinner table. Travel when you can. Read, learn, keep a journal. Stand to the right on an escalator, please. Do something that scares you. Believe in yourself. Help someone. And above all, no matter what, if it's what you believe you should be doing, never, never, ever, ever, ever give up.